2.4 Prefixes and Equalities. Let's look at the numerical values of prefixes to kind of get an idea of some of them. In the metric and the SI units, a prefix attached to any unit increases or decreases its size by some factor of 10. I don't mean like just 10, but it depends. So like a kilometer, it takes 1,000 meters to make a kilometer. Whereas a millimeter, it takes 1,000 millimeters to make 1 meter. Or we could write it as 1 millimeter is 1,000th of a meter. The relationship of a prefix to a unit can be expressed by replacing the prefix with its numerical value. So for example, when the prefix kilo in kilometer is replaced with its value of 1,000, we find that a kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. So the beautiful thing here is that whether it's a meter, a liter, or a gram, kilo is referring to 1,000 of those basic units, the meters, 1,000 meters, 1,000 liters, or 1,000 grams. Now then, in table 2.5, let's look at some prefixes that, because you have computers, you might kind of like know. You've heard of a terabyte or a gigabyte or a megabyte, and a long time ago when computers were first starting out, we were talking about kilobytes. Okay, but those are prefixes, mean something more than just bytes, B-Y-T-E-S. In computers, they also have a numerical value depending on whatever, meters, liters, grams, whatever that we're talking about. Now, in this chemistry class, really we're not dealing with these big units here, so we're going to be dealing with kilometers or whatever. Now then, we can even go tiny, which is smaller than like our basic units of meters. And so we don't use deci very much, but deci is 1/10 of a meter or a liter. Centi, yes, it's 100th. We do use that prefix a lot, whether it's a centiliter, centimeter, centigram. Milli, millimeter, milliliter, milligram, we use that a lot. Now, these smaller prefixes, micro, nano, and pico, we really don't use a whole lot in this chemistry class. They do exist. Heck, if you took microbiology, you know that the microgram is much smaller than a milligram. Or if you're looking at the back of a can and you're looking at the values of how much vitamins are in here, is it a microgram or a milligram or whatever. So those values are used, but in this class we're going to pretty much be using between milli and back up here to kilo. So just kind of like about 6 different units. Now then, you will notice here again as you look on the back of whatever your can. So here the U.S. Food and Drug Administration use metric prefixes to express amounts of daily nutrient requirements. So you're talking about a gram, a milligram. I'm hoping you know that a milligram is 1,000th of a gram, so much smaller than a gram. And here a microgram, is really little. So you will see that these values are used. So let's make sure that we can realize the importance here of knowing, okay, is this one bigger or less? So 1,000 meters, what does it do? It makes up 1 kilometer. And here I know we don't use the microgram a lot, but I'm assuming you look at this 1 to the times 10 to the negative 6 and you go, oh, that's really, 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 really tiny. Yeah, that's our microgram. Now then, an equality shows the relationship between 2 units that measure the same quantity. So a meter is 100 centimeters, centa meaning 100, whereas a meter is also 1,000 millimeters. And so if you wanted to go that a centimeter is 10 millimeters, that's fine. But now then, let's look here. So the metric length of 1 meter is the same size as 100 centimeters and 1,000 millimeters. Again, 100 meaning the cents meaning 100 and milli meaning 1,000. Now, volumes of 1 liter or smaller are common in the health sciences. When a liter is divided into 10 equal portions, each portion is called a deciliter. Now, the following are examples of some volume equalities. So a liter is 10 deciliters. We do know that a liter is 1,000 milliliters. Now, back in an earlier section, we had mentioned that a cubic centimeter is equivalent to a milliliter. Here's why. Now then, if we were to take this little spot here of a centimeter, which actually that, if you go and measure that, that's a little bit smaller than a centimeter, so this is just this view here. But the volume of a cube is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, length times width times height. So if we were to have one of these sides open and pour in some liquid, it would hold exactly 1 milliliter of volume. So a cube measuring 1 centimeter on each side has a volume of 1 cubic centimeter, or a milliliter, or sometimes in the olden days, in the medical field, they'd call a cubic centimeter a cc, meaning cubic centimeter. So a cubic centimeter has the same volume as a milliliter, and the units are often used interchangeably. Notice I keep mentioning that. That's the third time I've mentioned this. Now then, when you visit the doctor for a physical exam, he or she records your mass in kilograms, and then in any shots or anything, the laboratory's results for shots might be micrograms. So the following are examples of equalities between different metric units of mass. So we know that a kilogram is 1,000 grams. A gram is 1,000 milligrams. Milli is much smaller than a gram. And here we have our centigrams, are much smaller than grams. It takes 100 of them. And so now then, let's look here. Indicate the unit that completes each of the following equalities. 1,000 meters, I think we already had something like this before. Well, I hope you know that that's a kilometer. Now then, this is to the hundredth. So what over here is talking about a hundredth? Oh, a centimeter. So 0.01 meters is 1 centimeter. And as we look at our answers, we see that.